Right. So this time, you guys have sent us down a real rabbit hole with this one.
Yeah.
A fascinating firsthand account that we're going to dive deep into today.
Yeah.
From someone claiming to be an ex-Satanist who had a near-death experience that completely shifted their worldview.
Yeah. It's definitely a story that pushes some boundaries.
Yeah, it does.
As always, though, we encourage you to listen with an open mind.
Yeah.
And just see where this deep dive takes us.
Yeah, so this guy,
we're
going to call him John.
Good.
For the sake of anonymity.
Right.
Paints a picture of his early life.
Yeah.
Describing his family as Catholic, but not in like a genuine faith sort of way.
Right.
More like going through the motions of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it never really clicked for him.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is the role of his uncle, who is deeply skeptical of religion.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like this uncle was pretty vocal in his critiques of religious teachings, and that exposure to a different perspective really planted those seeds of doubt in young John.
Yeah.
And ultimately that led him down the path of rejecting Christianity.
And it's that rejection, coupled with his uncle's influence, that opened the door to him exploring something else entirely. Satanism.
Wow.
He describes initially getting involved in these rituals as just harmless games.
Oh, okay.
Almost like a rebellion against those norms that he was questioning.
So this really highlights how something forbidden that challenges the status quo can be so strong, especially for someone like John, who's already questioning the foundations of his belief system.
Yeah, and things take a pretty dramatic turn one night during a ritual.
Okay.
That was held in this abandoned warehouse. And he talks about the atmosphere being heavier.
Right.
There were unfamiliar faces in the group, adding to this intensity.
So this shift in setting, that heightened energy, seems to be creating the perfect storm for something crazy to happen.
Yeah.
Like the environment itself was amplifying this potential for a powerful experience.
Yeah, and that's when John describes having this out-of-body experience.
Okay.
He's feeling detached from himself and being pulled into this dark tunnel.
Wow.
Like a vortex drawing him away from everything familiar.
This is something we see in a lot of near-death experiences.
Really?
Right. The sense of separating from the body, traveling into another realm.
Right.
A shift in consciousness.
At the end of this tunnel,
he
encounters a figure.
Okay.
This shadowy, demonic being.
Right.
And he says he felt this strange sense of familiarity with this figure.
Really?
As if there was a connection between them.
Wow. So this recognition, this feeling of a pre-existing link, it adds a whole other layer to the story.
It does.
It really makes you question what the nature of this connection is. Is it symbolic? Is it psychological? Or is it something even deeper?
Well, and instead of speaking this being communicated through visions, John describes these horrifying images of souls trapped in this hellish realm, enduring unimaginable suffering.
That's intense.
Yeah.
So these visions, vivid and terrifying, they seem like a warning.
Right.
A glimpse into what could happen if he continues down this path.
To really drive this point home, this being reveals a shocking truth.
What's that?
It claims to be a distant relative of John's.
Whoa, hold on.
Yeah, sent to warn him about the dangers of his choices.
Wow, that's a brilliant way to make it personal. You can't ignore that.
Right.
It makes it feel like his eternal fate is at stake.
Yeah, and even maybe the fate of his entire family lineage.
That's heavy stuff.
It is.
So what happens?
Despite the terror that he's feeling, John initially resists this warning.
Oh, wow.
It seems like he's still drawn to this darkness that he's been exploring.
That's interesting.
Maybe even more so because of this experience that he's having.
Yeah, this really highlights the power of temptation.
Right.
The forbidden, even when you're given a clear warning.
Right.
Like a glimpse into potential suffering. It's still so hard to break free from something that promises power and knowledge.
So determined to get through to John.
Yeah.
This being shows him another vision.
Okay.
And this one challenges conventional assumptions about salvation.
All right, I'm interested.
It's a vision of a procession of people.
Okay.
Seemingly devout Christians, carrying Bibles, crosses.
This is unsettling because it's not what you'd expect, right?
Yeah.
It makes you question what true faith really is. It goes beyond those superficial markers.
And that's exactly what the being emphasizes.
Okay.
It reveals that many of these seemingly devout Christians are actually headed for damnation.
Really?
Yeah. And not for a lack of faith, but for a lack of what it calls inner purity.
Inner purity. What does that even mean?
Yeah, it is an interesting concept.
It is.
It delves into the complexities of morality.
Right.
Aligning your outward actions with your inward beliefs.
It's like saying true righteousness requires a deeper transformation, a change from within.
It's a critique of hypocrisy, right?
It is.
Of those who go through the motions without embodying those core principles of their faith.
And this resonates outside of religion, too, don't you think?
Absolutely. It speaks to authenticity.
Yeah.
Living in accordance with our values, regardless of what we believe.
It challenges us to examine our own lives.
Yeah.
Are our actions actually reflecting what we claim to believe?
Then the focus shifts to something unexpected. The world of sports.
Okay.
John describes this vision of a packed stadium, a soccer match in full swing.
Okay.
And he feels this dark energy permeating the atmosphere.
Wow. So we're expanding beyond religion now.
Yeah.
This warning is going into different areas of life.
Suggesting that even secular activities can be avenues for distraction.
Interesting.
Maybe even manipulation.
So it makes you think about mass entertainment, the influence it has, and how that energy can be channeled in negative ways.
The being claims that these popular sports, soccer, football, basketball, are designed to manipulate and control people.
Wow.
To fuel these negative emotions, anger, frustration, and ultimately to distract them from their spiritual development.
This is a big claim.
It is.
It's going to be controversial.
Yeah.
For sure.
It challenges us to think about the potential downsides of what we usually see as harmless entertainment.
Right.
To look at our own relationship with these things.
Are they enriching our lives or just distracting us?
Exactly.
What really matters.
Then John's shown this vision.
Yeah.
That's particularly unsettling, especially for us parents.
Okay.
He sees a 12-year-old boy in hell.
Oh, wow.
Condemned for his obsession with superhero cartoons, monster movies, and violent video games.
This is tapping into our fears about the impact of media on kids.
Right.
Right.
It is.
This concern that certain content can desensitize them to violence.
Yeah.
It can distort their sense of right and wrong.
The message here is clear, right?
It is.
Even seemingly innocent forms of entertainment can have this corrupting influence.
Absolutely.
Especially on young minds.
Yeah.
Who maybe haven't developed that critical thinking yet.
Right.
To know the difference between fantasy and reality. Right and wrong.
This emphasizes the importance of media literacy.
Yeah.
Right. For kids and for adults, being aware of the messages we are consuming.
Right.
Understanding how those messages can affect us.
Yeah.
And making conscious choices about what we let into our minds, the minds of our kids.
The being emphasizes the responsibility of parents to guide their children.
Right.
To provide them with that moral compass.
Yeah.
To help them navigate all of this.
It's a warning about what happens when we neglect that responsibility.
The visions continue. And John is shown unmarried couples, people going through divorces, others engaging in what the being considers sinful behavior. He's told that any sexual activity outside of traditional marriage is a direct path to eternal damnation.
So this is obviously a very traditional interpretation of religious doctrine.
It is.
It highlights the tension between freedom and sticking to a strict moral code.
Right.
It's a debate that's been going on for centuries.
Oh, it has.
Both in religious and secular contexts.
Yeah, and then we get to the most shocking vision of all.
Okay.
John is shown this hellish landscape.
Yeah.
Filled with flames, torment. And in the center of it all, he sees 3 figures.
Okay.
Dressed in papal garments.
Wow.
Suffering alongside the other condemned souls.
That's a powerful image.
It is.
It's really jarring, especially for people of faith.
It is.
It questions the holiness of these figures.
Right.
The authority.
Yeah.
It suggests that even spiritual leaders aren't immune to judgment. They have consequences too.
Yeah. The being explains that these figures represent popes.
Okay.
Who chose the easy path of power and indulgence over the difficult path of spiritual discipline.
It's a reminder that even those in positions of authority are human.
Yeah.
They can be tempted.
They
can make choices that lead them away from what's right.
John is just stunned by this.
Yeah.
How could these men, seen as representatives of God on earth, end up suffering in hell?
It forces him to confront that religious institutions can be flawed.
Yes.
That there can be hypocrisy even at the highest levels.
This is a turning point in his story.
It is.
It shatters his assumptions about religious authority and forces him to reevaluate his own beliefs and choices.
He's starting to understand that true faith isn't about blindly following rules or rituals.
It's about something deeper.
It is.
Yeah.
It's about aligning your actions with what you truly believe.
The being then makes this chilling prediction, saying that everything's going to change in the next 30 years.
Right.
That most churches will become corrupted, and everyone will have to choose how to live their lives in the face of this spiritual crisis.
So this adds this sense of urgency to the story.
It does.
It feels like the world is on the brink of something huge.
It does.
This time of testing where everyone has to face their beliefs and choose a side.
But amidst these warnings, there's a glimmer of hope.
Okay.
The being reminds John that redemption is always possible.
That's important.
It is.
That glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
That even after all of this, there's still a chance.
Yeah, those who genuinely repent and seek that connection with the divine can find salvation regardless of their past mistakes.
That's reassuring in a way.
It is.
Yeah.
With that final message, John's out-of-body experience just ends abruptly.
So he's back.
He's back in the warehouse,
Wow.
Convulsing on the floor, body racked with pain.
And the visions.
Still vivid in his mind.
This sudden return to reality must be jarring.
I can only imagine.
I know. He's gone from this otherworldly realm back to the harshness of the material world.
Right.
Now he has to figure out what it all means.
His companions, the others who are in the ritual, they just stand back and watch him suffer.
Right.
Yeah, they offer no assistance.
Wow.
Their faces are cold and distant.
It's like they're already lost to whatever they've been messing with.
Right.
This indifference really highlights how isolating this path is.
Yeah.
It's like pursuing this forbidden knowledge leads to losing human connection, empathy, compassion.
Their silence is such a stark contrast to the urgent warnings he received.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like they've become numb to the consequences.
Yeah.
Their hearts hardened by this darkness they've embraced.
It really makes you wonder about the nature of evil.
Doesn't it? Is it something that gradually eats away at you?
Yeah.
Or does it just attract people who are already predisposed to that coldness?
John feels totally alone, abandoned by those he thought he had a connection with.
That's got to be devastating.
It is. His life feels like it's slipping away.
Yeah.
The darkness from the visions is threatening to consume him.
So this is a turning point.
Yeah.
A real moment of crisis.
It is.
He's facing the ultimate consequences of his choices.
Yeah.
He's at a crossroads.
He is.
What he does next will determine everything.
It will.
Yeah. It's like he's hanging in the balance between that seductive pull of the darkness and the terrifying realization of where it could lead.
Yeah, it's that hitting rock bottom moment, right?
It is.
Where you have to face what you've done.
Right.
And decide, do I stay on this path or make a change?
And that's exactly what he does.
He does.
He describes this surge of will, this desperate desire for something more than the emptiness he was shown.
Okay.
In that moment, the convulsions stop. It's like the chains binding him to this dark fate break.
And he's free.
He's left with this overwhelming sense of a second chance.
It's like he was shown the abyss and then given this lifeline.
That's the power of these near-death experiences. It's like the veil between life and death is lifted.
Right.
And you get this whole new perspective.
So John stumbles out of that warehouse.
Yeah.
Desperate to escape the horror.
I can imagine.
He ends up in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
Being treated for burns on his hands from those ritual candles.
So those burns serve as a physical reminder of what he went through.
Yeah, they do.
These visible marks of the invisible wounds.
Right.
This contrast between the hospital and the surreal visions.
It's in that hospital surrounded by the familiar,
Right.
That John has this realization.
Okay.
Everything he believed in, everything he was chasing was a mistake.
Wow.
A dissection.
So a complete shattering of his worldview. It's like realizing the path you were on was leading to destruction.
He sees the rituals, the ideology of Satanism, as this grand illusion.
This shows how seductive darkness can be. It disguises itself as something good, liberating, when really it leads to despair.
He even questions his uncle's motives.
Oh, wow. So now he's questioning the people he trusted.
Right.
This is painful, right?
It is.
It's like a betrayal, leaving him feeling even more lost.
But even in this despair, there's hope.
Okay.
The realization that he has this second chance.
That chance to break free.
Right.
This is a pivotal moment.
It is.
He's choosing to reject the darkness and embrace something new.
And in this complete reversal,
okay,
John embraces Christianity.
Wow, the very thing he rejected.
The very thing, yeah.
That's a huge transformation.
It is.
Makes you think about what drives those shifts in belief.
It does.
Right. The psychological and emotional factors at play.
He confesses everything to a priest.
He does.
Yeah. Pours out his heart.
Wow.
The darkness he's explored, the terror, the regret.
Confession is a powerful thing.
It is.
A willingness to admit mistakes, to seek forgiveness, to heal.
The priest listens with compassion.
That's so important.
It is.
To have that support.
Yeah, offering guidance.
Right.
Recognizing the sincerity of John's repentance.
He sees that John wants to change.
Yeah. And John then spends a month in a monastery.
Wow.
Immersing himself in prayer, contemplation.
So he's distancing himself from those negative influences, rebuilding his life on this foundation of faith.
And he talks about feeling this connection to God.
Right.
A love and acceptance that he's never felt before.
It's like that darkness opened his eyes to the light.
It did. It did.
He appreciates the divine in a whole new way.
But his journey doesn't end there.
It doesn't.
He feels this growing sense of urgency.
Okay.
This need to share his story.
Right.
To warn others.
So this is a natural part of these experiences.
It is.
Right.
It is.
You want to help others.
Yeah.
Guide them away from the darkness.
He believes his experience holds valuable lessons for others.
This highlights the power of personal stories.
Right.
Sharing our struggles to help others.
Exactly.
It connects us.
It does.
Shows we're not alone.
He knows his story is controversial.
Of course.
Yeah, he knows it'll challenge beliefs, provoke skepticism.
He's aware of the risks.
He is.
But he still feels compelled to share.
Yeah.
This is a delicate balance.
It is.
Wanting to help others, but also protecting yourself.
So for 15 years, he keeps it private.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, sharing it only with close confidants.
He's being cautious.
He is.
Carefully considering the implications.
Yes, but as time goes on, he sees the world changing.
And not in a good way.
Not in a good way.
What does he see?
He sees this decline in moral values.
Right.
A rise in materialism.
This is a common concern.
It is.
That society is moving away from tradition.
Yeah, toward a more secular worldview.
A fear that the foundation is crumbling.
Yeah, and he sees people becoming isolated.
Yeah, okay.
Disconnected from each other.
Right.
And from their spiritual roots.
And technology plays a role in this.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, it does.
The way it connects us, but also isolates us.
Right.
It's a complex issue.
And he sees this growing fascination with entertainment that he finds shallow and empty.
Right.
He worries that people are becoming addicted to these distractions.
It's like a critique of consumer culture.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're constantly bombarded with messages telling us to focus on material things.
External validation.
Rather than inner peace, spiritual growth.
It's something a lot of people feel.
Yeah, regardless of their belief.
And it's like he sees the world becoming vulnerable to that darkness.
Right.
That he barely escaped.
So he feels even more urgency.
He does.
This feeling that he has to speak out.
Yeah.
Before it's too late.
This pushes him to overcome that fear of judgment.
Right.
To step forward.
Even though he knows it'll be hard.
It will be.
So this is a major turning point.
It is.
He chooses to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
To share his truth.
Even though he knows there will be pushback.
So after 15 years of silence.
Yeah.
He decides to break it.
Wow.
He feels this sense of duty to warn others.
This is courageous.
It is.
Putting himself out there like that.
Yeah.
Knowing he could be ridiculed, dismissed.
He wants to tell the world what he's seen.
He wants to open their eyes to what he believes is at stake.
He doesn't want to frighten or condemn.
Okay.
But to awaken people.
Right.
To this spiritual battle that's going on around us.
This is a theme in many traditions.
It is.
This call to awareness.
Yeah.
That we're spiritual beings. And our actions have consequences beyond the physical world.
And so John begins to share his story.
Hoping it will reach the right people.
Yeah.
Serve as a beacon of hope.
Now, John's story is intense, right?
It is.
But it's important to remember that this is just one man's account.
Of course.
Filtered through his own beliefs and interpretations.
It's crucial to listen with a critical ear.
Right.
Appreciate his sincerity. Yeah.
But recognize that his perspective is shaped by his own experience.
Exactly. And while we've laid out the details of his account, it's up to you, the listener, to decide what you think.
What resonates with you.
Right.
What challenges your beliefs.
We encourage you to engage with this material critically.
Think about the bigger picture.
Yeah, explore the themes that speak to you.
This is your journey.
It is.
We're just here to guide you.
John's story forces us to ask some tough questions.
It does.
What do we believe? How do we live? What's truly important?
John's account might seem like a medieval morality play.
Yeah, with all the talk of hell and damnation.
Right.
But even without those elements, there are some universal themes.
There are.
Like the idea that appearances can be deceiving.
Right.
That outward piety can mask inner corruption.
That's a timeless theme.
It is. You see it everywhere.
Literature, philosophy, even psychology.
Think about people who say one thing but do another.
Right.
Or those who use religion for their own game. It's about walking the walk.
It's not just talking the talk.
Right.
Living with integrity.
Matching our actions to our words.
And what about that claim about sports being a distraction?
That one was interesting.
It was.
That'd be a bit extreme.
Yeah, but think about how we get consumed by things.
Right.
Entertainment, hobbies, work even.
To the point where we neglect other things.
Relationships, our health, our spiritual side.
Think about how much time people spend on sports.
Right.
To the detriment of their lives.
Yeah, it's not evil in itself.
Right.
But it can become an obsession.
It's about balance and awareness.
Exactly.
Being conscious of how we spend our time and energy.
What we're putting our attention on.
Are we seeking things that truly matter?
Or just distractions.
Fleeting pleasures.
It's like those visions of people glued to their screens.
Right.
John's story might be extreme, but it raises valid questions about the role of technology and media.
Are we in control or are they controlling us?
Exactly.
Are we using them for good?
Right.
Or are they isolating us, feeding us negativity?
And that warning about the boy in the cartoons.
Oh, yeah.
That one really hit me as a parent.
It's scary to think about.
It is.
What messages our kids are being exposed to? Are we paying attention to what they're consuming?
Are we helping them develop that critical thinking?
It's a reminder that even seemingly harmless entertainment can have an impact.
Yeah.
It's not about censorship,
right,
but about being mindful.
Yeah.
About what we let into our minds and our children's minds.
Teaching them to question what they see.
Exactly.
To develop their own values.
So John's vision might be religious.
Yeah.
But the message is universal.
It is.
Be aware. Question what you consume.
Make sure your actions match your values.
Taking responsibility for our choices.
Exactly.
Recognizing that even small actions can have consequences.
And that vision of the popes in hell.
Oh, yeah.
That was unsettling.
It was.
It made John question everything.
It challenged those assumptions about power and holiness. It's a powerful image.
Yeah.
It reminds us that no one is above the law.
Right.
Everyone is accountable.
It's about questioning blind faith and finding our own truth.
Developing our own moral compass.
Exactly.
Not just relying on others to tell us what's right.
And John's story doesn't end with his conversion.
Right.
He felt compelled to share his experience.
Yeah, to warn others.
Even though he knew people would be skeptical.
That's a powerful choice.
It is.
It shows how much he believed in his message.
Yeah.
It also makes us think about how we handle challenging experiences.
Right.
How do we decide what's true?
Especially when it goes against what we already believe.
It's like he's saying, I know this sounds crazy, but I had to tell you.
Yeah.
Maybe it will make you think differently.
It's a challenge, an invitation to explore.
And that's what this deep dive is all about.
It is.
We've presented this story.
Yeah.
And now it's up to you.
It is.
Do you dismiss it?
Right.
Or do you find some truth in it?
Does it challenge you, provoke you, inspire you?
Whatever your reaction.
Yeah.
The important thing is that you've engaged with it.
You've been exposed to a different perspective.
And hopefully it's made you ask some deeper questions.
John's story forces us to confront those big questions.
What do we believe? How do we live?
What truly matters?
Those are questions worth thinking about.
They are.
No matter what you believe.
You know, it's remarkable how John's story, even with all the supernatural stuff, still manages to touch on these really relatable human struggles.
Absolutely.
Like this internal battle between temptation and trying to choose a better path. It's something I think we can all connect with.
We can. It's like he's showing us our own internal conflicts. Yeah. Those moments where we're tempted to take the easy way out.
Right.
Or ignore our conscience.
And the fact that he finds solace and purpose in faith.
Right.
That resonates with a lot of people too.
It does.
Regardless of their specific beliefs.
It's that human need for something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
Something that transcends the everyday.
It's that search for meaning, isn't it?
It is.
That search for purpose.
What gives our lives direction?
And it's interesting how his experience with Satanism
Right.
which he initially saw as this rebellion against dogma, ultimately leads him to a much deeper understanding of faith.
It's like he had to go through that darkness to appreciate the light.
It's like a pendulum swing.
Yeah.
Right.
You start at one extreme, reject it.
Yeah.
Explore the opposite.
And then find some balance.
And our beliefs are always evolving.
They are.
Shaped by our experiences, our interactions with the world.
One thing that really struck me was how John's perception of the world changed after this experience.
It's a big shift.
It is. He sees danger and darkness everywhere. Even in things that most people wouldn't think twice about.
Right, so it makes you wonder.
It does.
Did this experience change how he sees things? Right.
Or was he just blind to it before?
Yeah. That's a fascinating question.
It is.
It really is. About how our beliefs shape our reality.
They act as filters, influencing how we interpret events.
How we interact with others.
Exactly.
So is he seeing things more clearly now, or is it skewed?
It's hard to say.
It is.
It's like that saying, when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yeah, once you're convinced of something, you see it everywhere.
That's why critical thinking is so important.
It is.
Being aware of our own biases. Questioning what we think is true.
Seeking other perspectives.
Right.
Recognizing that we don't have all the answers.
There's always more to learn.
There is.
Or John's story.
John's story is a reminder. That the human experience is complex.
It is.
Full of mysteries.
Things we may never fully understand.
It challenges us to be open.
To the possibility?
The possibility that there's more to reality than we can see.
More to the human mind than we can explain. It's about embracing that wonder.
That curiosity.
Yeah, the curiosity about the unknown.
Recognizing our limits.
Yeah.
Being willing to step outside our comfort zones.
And even if we don't share John's beliefs.
Right.
I think there's a lot we can take away from his story.
I agree.
This journey from skepticism to faith, from darkness to light.
It shows the power of transformation.
It does.
The capacity for growth and redemption.
It's never too late to change.
It isn't.
To question what we believe.
To seek a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
What a journey this has been.
It has.
Exploring John's story.
Yeah, we've had to face some uncomfortable truths.
We have.
Question our own beliefs.
Yeah.
Consider possibilities that we might not have considered before.
It's a story that will probably stay with us.
I think so.
Make us think about the nature of belief.
Yeah.
The power of experience.
That search for meaning and purpose.
And with that, we wrap up this deep dive into John's account.
Thanks for joining us.
As always.
We hope you found it thought-provoking.
And that it left you with something to ponder.